Welcome, everyone, to the Extraordinary Coaches podcast. Today, I'm here with Rebecca. It's really lovely to have you here. I'm really excited to get going on this. You are a mindset coach, if I'm correct. I also saw on your website that you're starting this fitness program thing, that you're getting into the health and fitness world, if that's correct. Yeah, please.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here, Mick. I've actually always been in the fitness and health world, and I actually started my coaching career teaching fitness to women. But right now, I've been focusing a lot on personal development and mindset because I think mindset's important.
But on your website, it says something about fitness thing coming soon. What are you working on?
Oh, yeah, I've been toying with the idea of creating fitness classes for people or just workouts.
No way.
Just because I know that would probably be something that people would like. But I don't necessarily enjoy recording myself working out.
I got that one. All right. Well, I said that you're a mindset coach. I'm basically putting you in a box. How would you introduce yourself?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would just say I am a personal development coach who's passionate about mental health and mindset and helping people to become their best, really. It's that's my joy of shining the light on others so they can shine, right? I don't know how I don't want to say I'm a healer. I don't want to say I'm a medium or anything like that, but I feel like it's using those gifts that we're born with and how we can actually share those with others.
Yeah, because you're quite intuitive. Am I correct?
I am, yes.
I like that. How did you find out about that? How did you find out that you have, because other question. Have you done like an education to get to become a coach?
So when I was in college, I knew right away, like my first year of college, that I wanted to be a life coach. Like that made sense to me, but I didn't think that I had enough life experience. So I did get a degree in social work, which I thought I was going to go down the path of being a counselor in the school system because I had a child when I went to school. So I wanted to have the same schedule as her. But as far as professional education, that was the beginning. And then throughout the course of the last 20 years, I have had great mentors. I've studied many courses. I've just done a lot of self-teaching methodologies, but it wasn't really until I got my divorce, I went through my divorce, that I really took my spiritual journey and realized like I needed to explore that avenue of my life.
Yeah. Because the vibe I'm getting with you is not very, I don't want to call it academic, but it doesn't feel like you do your coaching by the book. And I like that. It feels like it's such a natural flowing way. Well, even when I'm talking to you, it feels really talking to a person. I'm not talking to someone who got taught a skill or something like that.
Yeah, thank you. I feel like really, really important to just be real and honest and authentic and have conversations with people. And I do have a lot of knowledge per se, right? In psychology, in the back, in a lot of my methodologies are psychological, but it is more intuitive. It's tapping into that energy. I want to say that it's not like a vision when I'm coaching, but it's just a feeling that I get that I'm able to guide people. Right? I can't describe it. Like I can't even put a name to it. It's just a knowing, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how I'm really able to help people, because it allows me to see a different side of them or beneath the surface, I guess.
Yeah. If you look upon that, I don't want to call it skill, but if you look upon that which you just described, would you say that is the way to coach, or is that just your way to coach?
To me, it's worked for me. I don't know about the way, right? There's different modalities. People have all different sorts of tools and techniques that they use. For me, this is what works. This is what works for my client base. because I feel like we really get a good understanding of the individual, not the skeleton or the shell of who they're projecting to be, but who they really are at the soul level. And
Yeah.
that's really, really powerful for these individuals, because it's almost like we expose them in a way that we get to that core of who they are, and then they can start living their lives from that perspective, right?
I like that. Yeah.
It's deep. I mean, it's deep, deep work. Like, we have to go deep, and
Yeah.
it's fun.
I remember when I started my whole spiritual journey, that I don't want to say I let go of that, but I sort of pushed it a bit to the background, or it flowed back to the background. I wasn't pushing it, but I realized that there was still knowledge that I had and experience that I had, but I wasn't putting it out there, as in, hey, look at me, I'm this spiritual coach. I sort of removed that and made it life coach. And the reason for that was because I felt like in that way I resonated more with the people that I actually wanted to coach. The people that I always wanted to coach didn't really get turned on by the sound of a spiritual life coach. So I just removed it and then became that life coach with the exact same, like I didn't change anything about my approach, yet I just changed what it was called. What was it like for you to get clients into such deep stuff that you do that might not be understandable for everyone?
Yeah, I mean, that's being able to read your people, right, and to find out who is a good fit for your program. And I can totally resonate with the whole spiritual side, and I have proceeded with trepidation throughout my coaching career, because I knew that, like, if I went into that realm of being a spiritual coach, it wasn't going to probably land on the way that I wanted it to land with the people that I wanted to coach. And plus, I realized, like, people sometimes in the spiritual journey, they don't have the money to pay for life coaches.
Yeah.
And that sounds maybe selfish or wrong, but the reality is, I'm a businesswoman and I have to make money. I have to feed my kids. So what works for me, Mick, is my shell of fitness, right? I draw people in because if we look at these pillars of balance in life, people understand the importance of physical health. We know that taking care of your body is important physically, right? We know that mentally we need to work on some stuff too, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. They all are interwoven. And so if I can use my pillar of fitness to draw people in, of like, oh, well, she's fit, she takes care of her body, she seems like she must be a solid person, right?
Yeah.
We draw them in that way, and then we actually get to work by doing the real meaningful inner work. It all goes hand in hand. I don't teach people how to work out. I don't want to teach people how to work out. That's on them. Figure out your own exercise thing. Do what makes you happy. That's going to make you show up every day with your body. That's
exactly.
it. Right?
That is interesting, because I think, or it brought something up that I think I've been doing it unconsciously, but I think I also hold that belief that if I would just, I mean, I tend to go to the gym. I'm quite active. I really like that. But actually building muscle and stuff like that, I never really focused on that. I just did it to, stay in good shape, but never actually to be like big and strong and blah, blah. But then sometimes the thought pops up, like, if I were to be like bigger and stronger than I am right now, maybe I would be taken more seriously by a broader range of clients. I feel like I would rather go to a coach who really looks good, as if he's taking good care of his body, than to a coach who looks like me. Although they can be smart, they might have the same skills, but still physical appearance matters. What's your thoughts on that?
It's so true. I've always thought that at the gym, like when I go to the gym, I'll see women with a trainer, and the trainer's maybe not in the best shape. And I get this feeling that these women look at me, and I'm not saying this to be boastful at all, but it's like they look at me and I'm like, I'm the one that should probably be training you, or maybe you should take advice from me. That sounds horrible, but I mean, it's so true, because the idea is we want to emulate what maybe someone else has or is doing, if we want to incorporate that into our lives, like, why would you take advice from someone that has no money, right? If that was your financial advisor, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, if they weren't good with money, you wouldn't want advice from them. If this person is overweight, and I'm going to get a lot of feedback with this, but like, if you have someone that's really just overweight and not taking care of their body, to me, it's an indicator that, like, if you're not willing to invest in your body and take care of your body, which, mind you, some people have medical issues and they can't, and I totally understand that. But if you're kind of morbidly obese, like, I wouldn't take advice from you, right? Because it's going to tell me that if you don't do it in this area, you're probably not doing it in other areas, right?
How you do one thing is how you do everything. I definitely agree with that. Yeah.
That's the motto I live by, right? So don't half-ass it in anything. Go fully in. Yeah.
Is that also the reason why you got into fitness, or you were already into fitness and then you were like, oh, this is benefiting me too?
You know what's interesting? So I always like to zoom out, and I like to zoom out in my client's life and my life, meaning I like to look at my life from up above. And that means looking at my whole path and journey. And when I do that, I realize I've always been active. I've always moved my body. I've always hiked. I've always played sports. And then when I got into high school, I didn't play sports. And I still started like doing my own exercises. I can remember, this will age me, but I remember going to the library and I would get DVDs, I think, and take them home and work out.
Mm-hmm.
To the whatever grade. Yeah, like this is years ago, like when I was a teenager. So fitness has always been an important pillar in my life. And then once I started getting super serious about working out, which was during my divorce, right? Because, and I don't mean to go off on a tangent with this, but I think it's important. When you're going through something that's traumatic, and divorce is traumatic, it gets very traumatic. And although my divorce was super easy per se, as far as like we went to mediation, it was the custody battle that I had to go through. And so when your whole world feels like it's crumbling and it's been tipped upside down because you thought that you were going to have this life and this path, you know, nobody plans to marry someone, have a bunch of kids, and then get divorced. Like my whole world was tipped upside down. And so I felt completely out of control. And the only area of my life that I felt like I could control was the amount of weight that I put on the bar at the gym. That was it. I'm like, I have control over the gym. I know that what I can do and get in there and do it. And I started taking it seriously. And from there, like it just transpires that people see that she's a serious person. She takes her health seriously. And I do. Like it's the number one priority for me. Right?
I love that. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I completely get that too. That you start to search for those areas where you are in control, and then that being the gym, that's really powerful. Or it's good to recognize that for yourself. Like, hey, I'm missing something here, and I'm not sure if it's fleeing away or like that type of behavior, or if it was actually like I need that pillar for my own support. Otherwise, I'm gonna crash and lose it. And if you can find that. And
it was a healthy pillar to grab onto, right? It was something like, I'm taking care of my body. I can control this. I may not be able to control what's happening in my external world with my custody battle and the kids, but I can control this. And then so you work on one layer at a time, right? And once I had that foundation of like consistency, I mean, I want to say the consistency started after my fourth child, though. Like people always ask me, and I don't mean to, I'm going to go off on a tangent here.
Please keep talking.
Well, this is how it flows. So if we want to get consistent, because that's a big question, how do you stay consistent? How do you maintain the body? How have I been able to look this way my whole entire life, right? As I age, as I get older. And it's about being consistent. How do we create consistency? How do we create a new habit? And so what worked for me back in the day when my kids were little, I started going to the gym 2 days a week. I'm like, just go 2 days a week and get that down. Get really, really good and comfortable at going 2 days a week. Yeah. Let's say Tuesday and Thursday, you're going to go to the gym. Boom, I got that accomplished. Okay, I've got a good system going on. Let's add another day. So then we add a third day. Okay, boom, I've got 3 days now. Been doing that for a few weeks. That feels good. That's becoming routine, right? And so then you add another day. And then pretty soon when you don't go, you start to feel off. And then so you start to create this routine, this structure, and then you start chasing the high of what the gym does for you, for your mental health.
Yeah, I really recognize that. And especially, I feel like the gym is, to me personally, one of the easiest habits to get into because of the big reward that it gives me. The feeling after going to the gym is so nice. Like, I really love that. And this is personal. I know there's people who might hate it out there, but the more you get into it, and especially I feel like when you start to see that progress, that's such a, I don't know if it's a dopamine boost or whatever, but it's really the reason for me to come back and do it again.
It's serotonin, actually, because it's long lasting, right? So it is a chemical, but it's serotonin. And so you're building up that serotonin in your brain, in your body. And so you're creating that, you are chasing that high, right? Because it's longer lasting. But also, too, what I think is it's a sense of accomplishment. I took care of my body. And this is why society has it wrong. We don't go to the gym because we have to, or we have to get in shape, or we're overweight. We do it when you start to change your thoughts and your reasoning behind it, you start to show up differently. And if you can tap into that, then you can start to create a habit that's long lasting. It's a lifestyle. Don't do it because everybody else is doing it. Do it because you value yourself and you value who you are and your body that you've been given, right?
Yeah. I love that because it reminds me of a quote that I think I've said it in almost every episode so far. It's don't go to the gym because you don't like yourself. Go to the gym because you do like yourself. And it's such a small shift, but it changes everything.
It's a form of self-love and self-care. And honestly, like that's the root of the coaching that I do. It's teaching people how to love themselves. And especially since I work with men, like teaching men how to tap into that, to that self-care, that self-worth. And like, how do men practice self-care? Men aren't allowed to have emotions normally, right? Men are supposed to be tough. And they can still be tough. We can still have men be manly, but we also have to recognize that men need to take care of themselves. And men need to know how to love themselves in a way that's healthy, right, for them. And so to me, that's the root of everything for every person I've ever worked with, teaching them how to have self-love.
Because you mostly work with men, you said?
I do, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I have worked with women, but the majority are men.
Fun. Was that like, did you always have a vision of that, or it just flew?
It just showed up. I started, as I said, with fitness, and I started training a few women at the gym. And then I realized like this, there's so much more to this than just working out. I'm like, we've got to tap into that mental component. And then I got my first male client and we did life coaching. And then from there, I got another male client. And then from there, it was another one, and another one, and another one. And it was just men kept showing up. So
how did that go for you? They just fell out of the sky, or how did you create your clients?
Everything's been word of mouth and then organic reach. Like I would post something, and I'm very, very intentional with what I write, right? There's a reason behind it. And a lot of it is expressing myself or a former version of Rebecca. And I think being that I'm a guy's girl, meaning that I'm very comfortable with men, all my friends have always been men. And I'm not like the girly girl, right? Like I have maybe 2 girlfriends. So I think I've always resonated with men, and men always felt comfortable talking to me and opening up to me. And so from there, it was just like, I guess I'm working with men. And I tried to resist it. I tried to push it away. I'm like, I don't want to work with men. Like, no, I don't want men. And then so last year I picked up some women. I started coaching women. I'm like, this is fun. But then men came back, and I'm like, okay, we're back and we're doing the men again.
I love that.
It works for me. Like I'm super comfortable talking to men, but most importantly, I want them to be comfortable with me. And I think that they are.
That's fun. I started off my coaching as well with the like the idea that I was going to coach other men, blah, blah. I think the first 20 clients I had, none of them were men. And it was the complete opposite of what I had expected, but I'm not going to turn people away. Like, okay, sometimes I turn people away, but at the beginning, I was like, well, you're welcome too. I just thought it would be like, I thought I was going to coach men, and I worked in the beginning with only women actually, which is funny.
So
like
who's your ideal client?
Mm,
Who would you love to be coaching?
that is a very good question. Currently, and I don't think I've ever shared this. I mean, I've shared it with my coach, but my actual vision for what I want to be doing with my coaching is to get myself so deep into that space that, you know, I can, I already do this, but not, okay, let me think about what I want to say exactly. To just answer your question and not go off on another track, I want to be coaching with people that I currently find scary to talk to, the people that I would be too afraid to coach and be myself with, people who in their field are like top experts, people who know their field so well that, you know, whenever I would come in and be like, oh, you should do this and this and this, they would be like, fuck you, I know way better than you do. Those type of people that I have so little experience of what it is that they do, that's why I'm such a good coach to them. So I'm talking about like Formula One drivers, like Olympic championship, like those types of people that are like, I don't know how you do what you do, but I'm just curious if I could coach these people to reach even higher level, even though I don't know anything about what it is that they do. So yeah, I want to get into that field, not per se like top athletes, but that is an example area of something I know nothing about. But yeah, these are people who are like big company owners or whatever, like stuff I got no clue about. I would absolutely love that.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great, like when you're showing up as your highest version of Nick, when you're coaching, if you always keep that vision in yourself of like, if I was coaching these Formula One drivers, how would I show up? How would I coach them, right? Because when you have that idea in your head, you're always going to try to strive to be that.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with me. I'm like, if I want to be the best mindset coach in the world, like I always think like, if I were to coach Tom Brady, like how would I show up? Right? And I always say Tom Brady because it's Tom Brady. But I was like, how would I coach Tom Brady? Like,
is that going to happen? Like, is this actually your vision or just an example?
Oh, I would love to coach Tom Brady, but like not obviously not physically or in that athleticism, but in the mindset. And I'm sure obviously he has coaches, but I would love to be his coach because he just went through a divorce. I would love it because I specialize in that. Like I would love to look into that.
I mean, if he's listening, then
right. But
no,
see,
I love that.
That's the mindset I have to be in.
Yeah.
If I'm to be best in the world, BIW, best in the world, right? That mindset coach, who is she? How does she show up, right?
Yeah.
And then I operate from that level, and that's how I coach my clients, and that's how we get results.
You know, the funny thing is that I ask myself that question too. How do I get to the extraordinary level? Like, how do I become an extraordinary coach? And funnily enough, I then came up with this podcast, which was Extraordinary Coaches. And later on, I think I was episode 5 or something recording that, I realized every episode is an episode of the Extraordinary Coaches podcast. So everyone who's on each is, in my opinion, an extraordinary coach. And the person who is always on in every single episode, that's me. And I thought that was so funny to me. Like I'm like, so this is how I'm going to show up right now, like this. I am an extraordinary coach. In fact, I even am the host of the podcast called Extraordinary Coaches. And I felt like I didn't even do it intentionally, but afterwards I feel like this is a good sort of path to take, to just put yourself in that position.
Yes. And that just gives me chills to hear that because you unconsciously created that. You are an extraordinary coach, right? And so you continue on that journey of creating these goals, creating these ideas of what you want and what you envision for yourself. And just because you can't see it or you can't feel it or taste it or hear it right in this moment, you have to be that person already, right? You are an extraordinary coach. And so when you show up as an extraordinary coach, boom, you're going to show up powerful in your coaching program. You're going to show up, you're going to get your clients results, and people are going to be drawn to you because you have that energy, right?
Yeah.
It's all about your mindset.
I love that.
Great.
Thank you for programming me. Now, what does that mean to you to be extraordinary or to be an extraordinary coach?
Yeah, I think I haven't thought of the word extraordinary. I think, but I love it. I personally, to me, it means like to show up as the best version of Rebecca, to deliver, right? To be present with them, to actually help them, because their success is my success, right? And there's nothing more gratifying than seeing someone shine and step into their power and just be like their full selves. Like that is the joy that I get from coaching. Like and take me out of it. It has nothing to do with me. Like I'm just the messenger is really how I view it, right? And it's powerful. It's also a little disheartening and discouraging when you go on a journey with someone and you coach them, because I always tell my clients, the real work begins when we're done coaching, right? Can you coach yourself? Can you self-coach? Can you continue this path? It's easy to show up when you have accountability, when you're meeting with someone once a week, right?
Yeah.
And so when they don't, I used to take it personally, right? Like, oh man, I failed. I didn't deliver. But now I'm like, you know what? Most people are not going to continue. So that's okay. This is what makes me a coach, right?
Yeah.
What separates me, and just knowing that.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I love that. It immediately brought me back to when I was in Portugal. I was in this yoga and meditation retreat for like 2 weeks. And I remember I had yoga sessions for 2 weeks. First time ever doing like actual yoga sessions. And at the end, one of the last sessions, this yogi ended the session and he said, the real yoga starts now. And I was pondering that question for like weeks and weeks after, until I actually realized what he meant by that, but by saying that, it's not so much what you do in the session, it's what you do outside of the session. And that goes for coaching too.
I love that. Yeah. And that's what I always tell my clients, like the real work begins when we're done.
I love that.
Yeah. And it's so true, because we are only given a limited amount of time with our clients, right? Or our people. So to me, it's like, let's make the most out of it. As I told you in the beginning, I'm a very intentional person. So it's like, let's be serious about this. Let's take this seriously. How much information can I give them in this short window, right?
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting too is, I don't know where this is coming from, but like I'm in this for the long game, right? This isn't, we live in a world right now that everybody's creating online businesses, everybody's coaching, everybody's creating courses and digital PDFs and everything, right? And a lot of people are having a lot of success and making a lot of money doing that. But the way that I look at my coaching practice is this is for life, right? This is a whole journey that we're going to create and incorporate into our lifestyle. So it's not something, maybe I haven't had the success of making millions of dollars right away like these other people, because there are some people that are very, very good at marketing and creating businesses and systems that make a lot of money, a lot more money than me. But I think when you're driven towards actual results and like passion and caring and genuinely wanting to help people, I think it is a long journey. I don't know where that came from, but I just think like with recognizing like this is a lifestyle that we teach these people, right?
Yeah, exactly. It reminds me of today. In fact, I was not arguing, but somebody asked me about, he'd never heard of coaching before, he didn't really understand it, and he asked me about the pricing and like what that does. So I told him what I do for a year and like the pricing, and he immediately asked me, so how much is that for an hour? And I'm like, no, but I don't know how much it is for the hour. It's for the year. He was like, yeah, but like you work hours, right? I'm like, yeah, I do, but that's not what it's about. He's like, yeah, but how much is that for the hour? I'm like, it's not about the hours that people are with me. It's the year. It's not the hours don't matter. If they sit with me for 2 hours or with 1,000,000 hours, it doesn't matter because it's not going to change anything. It's about the year. And he so didn't get it, what I was saying, that, yeah, indeed making that point, how the transformation or the it's not about how much I can give someone in 2 hours, because I only have the 2 hours. Like I'm going to serve them to my absolute best, but the actual results, the whole year, that's what they're paying for. It's not me. So that's interesting.
Well, people only have a myopic view, right? Like sometimes people can't see out of what's right in front of them. So they're just seeing, oh, hourly. Oh, this guy's getting paid $300 an hour or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, oh, no way am I going to pay that. Well,
Yeah.
First of all, that's probably not someone you want to work with. But second of all, the whole idea of coaching is we are expanding your mind and your consciousness so you can actually see that this is such a bigger thing than just what's right in front of you. But a lot of people don't. I think it's knowing your people, what kind of brain they're operating from, right? And so knowing that some people just have that analytical, logical mindset, and also like, how do we get them over here, right? Because we want someone to be fluid and open-minded and grow and see the bigger picture. And sometimes people don't see the bigger picture.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
You know,
and it's fine. It's okay. I really loved it because I feel like it's a good reflection of something I don't really consider that often, but people actually have these questions, obviously. Like if I'm going to say the price and what I do, everyone's going to, he just represented a possible client that doesn't understand enough what it is that I do. So that's on me. How can I make it more clear next time? Like, so yeah, I definitely feel like it was a good reflection. I'm very grateful that he asked me those questions.
Always stepping stones, right? Like it's always stepping stones for us to learn or to grow from it. And I think it makes you an extraordinary coach because you were able to reflect that and realize like, oh, I obviously didn't create enough value or show him the value of what this coaching with me for a year does. So maybe I need to go back to the drawing board and rework that, right? So it's like being a yogi or a spiritual person, like you can thank it and be like, thank you for showing me this. And now it's like, now I've got something to think about.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe the problem was that I wasn't coaching him. Like we just talked about coaching. I should have actually given him a session and then be like, imagine doing this for 52 times. That would have changed a lot.
It's hard because it's not for everybody. You know, not everybody is going to understand. And that's part of the business side of it, right? And knowing how to be a savvy business owner. And to me, that's been a long road of like figuring that out.
Yeah, because how do you work with people? What do you have like monthly, 12 weeks? How do you work?
So this year I've had to adapt and adjust because I don't know if it was my marketing or what, but I think when you're in that coaching space, like for me personally, like I start thinking of all these creative ideas because I'm a creative. So I want to create all these different offers and ideas for clients. And I deviated from the path of like what was working. So I've kind of come back to center, but this year I'm trying to be a little more fluid. So typically someone can work with me. It used to be for 3 months, but I switched it to 4 months because usually my clients have results, I want to say around week 8 or 10, right? But then we have to, we do some more work a few weeks later. But what I offer is a 4-month package and it's one-on-one once a week, or now I'm just doing like month to month, a 3-month minimum. Same 1 hour a week or 50 minutes. And then obviously there's unlimited support. There's follow-up. There's weekly thought work is what I call it. Because the idea is we're shifting the way that these people, at least for me, like how they view themselves in their life and their thoughts, and how these thoughts that they've been carrying for so long, these have become beliefs. So what I have to do is I have to go in basically into their mind and like weed out these negative beliefs that they've been carrying around. Half the time they're not even aware that they're carrying this belief. That's what I think there's where my intuition comes into play.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting approach. I've always, because that makes me curious, because it's sort of the exact opposite of what I do, or not opposite. There's no opposites, but when it comes to approaching how long someone works with you, you mentioned a lot of options. How did you get to that? How did you get to decide upon the absolute best package, or do you think you'll ever get there, or what's your take on that? I'll share my belief afterwards. I'm just curious about it.
Okay. Oh, I will tell you, I'll be honest. So I started working with people for 6 months. I'm going to sound like a real jerk, but I realized like I was sick of meeting with them for 6 months.
Mm.
I was like, 6 months is too long, right? And so I realized like a lot of my people, they were getting results like around 3 months. I was like, you know what? You need to shift to a 3-month package. And I was like, 3 months is good. I like 3 months.
I'm sorry, I think that's super fun. The same person that I just told you about, that I had the discussion about the money, he was like, he was calculating. He was like, so if you were to just coach for like 9 to 5 every single day, blah blah blah, you'd make this much. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not gonna have, for one, that would mean that I have a ton of clients, which I can't handle. Like, that's too much. And he's like, yeah, but why? I'm like, because I don't work with everyone. And he's like, why don't you? You would be super rich if you would. I'm like, yeah, but I have to spend a year with these people. I'm not going to spend a year with everyone. I don't want that. So that's why I had to laugh, because of what you said, because that's exactly my reason why I don't work with everyone, because I don't like everyone.
And it's I think what people don't recognize is, yeah, maybe coaching is expensive or it's an investment, but it's more than just the hour, because we are taking on their problems or whatever they're going through, and then we have to come up with solutions and strategy to guide them. The most amount of people that I will see in one day is 4, because I can't do more than 4 appointments a day because I'm exhausted. Like, I'm an empath. I feel people's emotions, right? So
but that's interesting. Sorry to interrupt you there, but so you would say that after a day of coaching work, you're exhausted?
Well, I'm just saying, if I had more than 4 clients in one day, I wouldn't be as good as I am, because like I like to be concentrated, right? I want to be effective and powerful and intentional with my message and my delivery.
Yeah.
I was seeing 8 clients a day, let's just say an 8-hour workday. I would not be good. I would be all over the place, because you remember, people are texting me unlimited support, and I'm like on my phone. I want to take a picture of this really quick so I can, if you don't mind us talking.
I don't mind that. Okay. Hi, people.
Okay. It's just good. Thank you.
No, but I definitely agree with you, though. I feel like when I have 4 sessions all day, I'm like, give me more. Like, I'm ready to go all night. I would love that. But yeah, maybe that's the openness to the energy that you're receiving from these people, or anything like that.
But let me say something. So let's just look at this objectively. I'm a single mom, right? You are a single man, right? You don't have kids. And I'm not saying that matters. This is, to me, and this is something you can think about for your future, 5-10 years in work. This is work-life balance, right? If I wanted to make more money and be working all the time, I could. I don't want to work more. I don't believe in that at all. I believe in being here with my kids. I believe in, and this is my belief, and this is personal to me, but I'm the one that chose divorce. I don't want to disrupt their life any more than I already have. So it's very important for me to be present and available to my kids, right? And if I was working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, I am no good to my kids. I'm no good to myself. So this comes into work-life balance. Gym, always. Kids, always. Business, next. That's it.
No, I love that. I love what you're saying. I think indeed I might not be taking into account that usually when I've had these 4 sessions with people, I'm on the beach anyway. Like, it's already a work-life balance, because every day is a holiday. So yeah, true. I don't have kids. I'm super young. But yeah, it does. I do think it's interesting.
It's about creating a lifestyle. Like, we have to remember, why did we get into this business, right? I wanted to do this, one, because I wanted a purpose-driven life. 2, I wanted to be impactful. But 3, like I wanted a lifestyle where I could make some money, but yet still be the mom that I wanted to be. So we come back, why are we doing it, right? And if you have a good balance of you're sitting on the beach, right, and you're coaching, like you're in your space then, like that sounds amazing, right? But
Sure, it's a personal thing, yeah.
Yeah, why we do it? I didn't do this to not be available. Like if that was the case, I'll just go get a job and work for somebody, right?
Yeah. You just mentioned before how you felt like the divorce that you went through disrupted your kids, and afterwards you were like, I don't want to like do that more. Is it something you're scared of?
Scared of in what? What do you mean? In what context?
Well, that you might make another decision that impacts their life in a way that you wouldn't want to do that.
Oh, for sure. So yeah, I've been toying with the idea of at least vacationing abroad or moving abroad. And that's something that my heart feels called to, my soul. Like I know I need to be out of the States, but I have fear because I don't want to leave my children. So knowing that, 1, it makes me feel anchored and trapped. But 2, also like I don't want to impact their lives in a negative way. Like I can't take their mom out of the picture, right? Perfect world, I take them with me, but we know that's not going to happen because their dad's not going to let that happen. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely something I'm aware of, right? But in the meantime, I think maybe just travel a little more if I can, right?
Yeah. I mean, the reason I'm asking is my parents are divorced. I don't know what it's like to divorce someone. Like I haven't been there. But I feel like the divorce of my parents has brought me to where I am today. I'm extremely grateful for the fact that they separated. And then you saying that, I'm like, maybe my mom feels the same way about it. Maybe my mom has, had that little fear. Maybe she wanted to do more but never did.
Yeah.
I don't feel guilty about that because I don't know. But if I would have known, I might feel guilty about that because I don't want to disrupt someone from not living their dream.
That's interesting. That shows me that you have a really good mom, actually, because the way that you feel about her, that's very endearing. I think, and that's an interesting perspective. That gives me something to think about. Like, would my kids want me to put my life on hold, for them? I don't know. Maybe my older boy. I don't know. It's an interesting choice.
Yeah.
It's responsibility, and it's like I'm responsible for my kids. I chose them. I need to be available. And I also have to bring light to this. Like I was severely underparented as a kid, right? Like my parents were really not. My mom was working when I was really young, working and going to school. And then when I was older, she was working. My dad moved away. So I know that feeling of like not having parents involved. And I honestly think that's like the driving force of like what makes me a really good mom. I mean, I don't know if I'm a good mom. People tell me I am, but I don't.
May I share a story that might change your perspective?
Please.
The only thing that I don't like about the divorce afterwards, the only thing that I'm like, if we could have done it differently, this is what I would have done differently, is that my parents didn't include me in it. Because they've always said it was their thing. We don't want to include the kids. It impacted me anyway. So whether you include me or not, and I don't know, I think I was 12, 11. I'm not super capable of making good decisions, yet I didn't know what was going on. And I don't know, maybe you having these dreams or it's not that, I don't know, but you having the little idea of moving abroad, I think in a few years from now, I would have loved my mom to share that. Let's say that later on I find out that that's what she's always wanted to do, but thought I wouldn't like it. I would have loved her to come to me being like, hey, this is what I actually want to do. I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna be here for you. Yet this is playing. What's your thoughts on that? And maybe he says, no, we don't leave, and then you stay. But maybe he says, go. I'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting perspective, and I think it is hindsight 2020, right? Like you could have that now, you could have that knowledge, but like my youngest is 11. He just turned 11, so I don't think he would understand if I left, right? Even if I included them. Maybe my 16-year-old boy would, right? But I think it just comes down to a choice of like how it does impact our kids and everyone, right? And I think it is having those conversations and communication in that fluid, just being able to actually converse with your kids is super important.
Yeah.
And I realized like my generation, parents didn't do that, right? I always try to be very, very open with my kids, probably sometimes too much. I probably tell them too much, which isn't always good, but it's important to me that my kids always come to me and they always talk to me, right? No matter what. They can always talk to me. I'm never going to judge them. I will always love them. And I think that's something that we, as our generation where we're living right now, we have to teach that, right? And so we do that by being open ourselves.
Yeah,
and so maybe it would be different if she would have. And I'm not unhappy that I can't move. I just know that I'm not meant to be where I'm at right now. I know that there's something much bigger for me out there, and it just happens to be not in Utah.
That makes sense. Or I've never been to Utah, so I wouldn't know, but I can imagine.
It's beautiful, but I'm ready for something bigger. But in the meantime, I have responsibilities, so this is where we'll be for a little bit. 8 more years.
Makes sense. As long as it's a conscious decision, yeah.
For sure. Oh, I could go off on a whole other subject about consciousness, but that's probably for another time.
Have you ever done like ayahuasca or those things?
No, years ago, I wanted to do it, and I thought that I wanted to do it, and then I thought, well, I wasn't ready, and now I've gotten to the point that I'm like, I don't really want to do it. I don't have a desire to. I don't want to do it. And I don't know why. I always thought I did, but I don't care for that now. And I've dabbled in psilocybin. I hear a lot of people that do it as microdosing, which has been very, very beneficial with anxiety and depression. I fully believe in the medicinal benefits of it, but not to abuse it. I just personally, it's not for me. I don't do well. Everything affects me opposite, so I don't do it.
That's an interesting belief to have.
It's not a belief, it's the truth. Like I just have a weird, my neurochemistry is wired backwards.
No, what you said, that everything affects me oppositely. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I find that, I don't know, talking about consciousness, being conscious with the words that you speak into existence. Everything is a bold statement. That's why I picked it up. No, but I love that.
Thank you, Coach.
I'm sorry. Can you, do you have, because somebody asked me this lately, and my answer was a clear no, but can you turn it off? Do you have like a button for being in the coach mindset?
Oh, I've had to catch myself because I will find myself coaching my kids, coaching my boyfriend, and I'm like, stop. They didn't ask for you to coach them. Like, you don't always have to be coach. And because I'm always wanting people to be better, or let me give you some wisdom, or maybe this is how I would view it. And I have to catch myself. So yes, I turn it off. But it's definitely been a practice because not everybody wants to be coached.
Yeah.
But I go into that mode without fail, always.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've had funny experiences with that too. But yeah, I mean, I think I can notice it. I think some things you can turn off more easily than like the noticing things or listening behind people's words. That's something I'm doing it constantly. Like, and then when you're just talking to someone who you're not coaching, you hear those things too. And you really have to bite your tongue sometimes to not point it out to someone or not be like, oh, and then I just have to stop myself. So I would agree with you. I can't consciously turn all of that off. But yeah, I'm trying it.
But and so that's interesting. That's why I said you were like a version of me, because this is what makes you an extraordinary coach, because you are reading the words behind the words or what's not being said, right? You're picking up on those things. And so even though and this comes down to our own self-awareness. So I'm guessing you have high self-awareness. It's probably what makes you good at what you do. So you're able to take that self-awareness and apply it to your clients, but just recognizing. So part of emotional intelligence and self-awareness is recognizing like, oh, I'm doing that, but just because I'm doing that doesn't mean I need to share that with everybody, right? So
yeah, exactly.
I keep a lot of things that I'm like, just keep it to yourself, Rebecca. Not everybody needs to know.
Yeah.
So just keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Or just ask. That's my just ask, Mink, before you make weird statements or say things people don't want to hear. I mean, I feel like it's a pretty good question. Like, are you open to hearing something that you probably don't want to hear? And some people are like, nope, no thanks. And other people are like, yeah, shoot, it's fine. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, it's the same. I always tell people, do you want to hear the truth, or do you want me to sugarcoat it, or whatever way I phrase it? And they always want the truth, and I'm like, okay, you asked for it.
Yeah, I love that. That's a powerful one too.
I would rather, as much as it's going to sting, it's just like you just called me out on my BS. Everything affects you differently, so I was like, oh shoot, you stopped me in my tracks. I'm like, I better correct that, because not everything affects me differently. What I meant to say are drugs affect me differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I got you there. I understood, of course.
You called me out, so I appreciate it. Thank you. I would rather hear the truth, even if it hurts.
Yeah. I think that's what makes someone an extraordinary client, in my opinion. I've never thought of that. I've always been focused on extraordinary coaching throughout these podcasts, but I feel like, back on your question, who my ideal client would be, or something along those lines, is someone who's open to hearing the truth, rather hearing the truth than, like you said, being sugarcoated or making, like, someone who's going with your BS. You have a lot of friends. You can do that with your friends. I want someone who shows up and is ready for the truth.
100%. Like, I've had to turn people away that have expressed interest in working with me. And everything I do is a test, right? So it's a test to see how good of a client they're going to be, or how well they're going to listen and follow through. And so sometimes if they don't, I tell them, I'm like, you're not ready to coach with me. And so what that is to me, wisdom meets us where we're at, right? If someone's not open to hear it, then you're going to be wasting your time. You're wasting your breath. There's no point, right? Yeah. So someone has to be open. And that's why it's important that we attract our ideal clients, and we attract our ideal clients by being that version of what we want them to be, right?
Exactly. So go to the gym. Yeah.
Well, be that person all the way through and through.
Yeah.
Because energetically, universal law, we will attract what we are. And that's why I attract the most amazing clients. And I have fun, and it's joyful to coach them, right? It's fun.
Yeah.
Great fun. As long as it's only for 3 months. It only be
Yeah. I'm gonna. No, I have 2 questions.
Okay.
One, is there anything that you want to dive into or talk about, or any topic you want to throw in there?
I mean, I think I probably said enough. If time allowed, I'd probably talk all day, but you can't, because we've got client appointments, right?
I love that. And then my last question, to go back upon the your definition of an extraordinary coach. Do you feel like you are?
I'm going to say yes. And that's really hard for me to talk about myself in a way, but I know I'm a phenomenal coach. I know it. It's just a feeling I know. I know I'm a phenomenal coach, right? For the right people, for my people, I'm phenomenal. So yeah, I will say that it's weird to be like, yes, I'm extraordinary. I'm very good at what I do. But honesty, yeah. Like,
It's not bragging if it's fact.
Well, but based on whose perception, right? You hear it enough, you get people results. And I will tell you why I can say I'm phenomenal. Because my client base, everyone's loyal to me. They come back to me. I still have connection with almost all of my clients to this day. And they come back if they need help. You know, if I worked with them 5 years ago, they come back. And so I'm like, okay, I'm doing something right. They trust me, right? And they're loyal because you know what? I'm loyal. I'm a loyal person.
Let's say you didn't have any clients, would you still be a phenomenal coach?
Yeah, I mean, I think so based on my history and based on where I've been to where I'm at now. But it's not something like if I wasn't continuing to practice it, I wouldn't be. I would lose that skill, right? So that's really important for me that I'm always learning. I'm always researching. I'm always trying to better myself. In every area of my life, I have to get better.
Yeah.
I have to get better. And so I will be ineffective and I will not be an extraordinary coach if I don't practice my skill. And so we practice our skill by conversing with people. And so whether you're my client or not, we're having conversation and I'm practicing my skill by just talking to you, right?
Yeah. I would definitely agree with you on that. Talking to new people, it's such a good way for me to get better into my coaching as well. Even if I'm not coaching them, just introducing yourself and conversing, I think it's powerful.
Becoming an extraordinary coach starts up here. You tell yourself, back to our conversation with Tom Brady and training Formula One athletes, right? We tell ourselves for that. It starts here. It doesn't matter if we don't have the visible proof in front of us. We tell ourselves here, and when you tell yourself, you start taking action from that perspective. And when you take action from that, you start to become that. And so this is how we draw things into our vortex, is by thinking it and feeling it. And when you feel it, when you feel like you're an extraordinary coach, soon over time, you start to see it manifest into reality, right? The fact that we're humans, we don't always, we're not patient. And we think that, just because we don't see it, that means we're not that. We don't have clients, so we must not be extraordinary coaches. No, that's not how it works. Universal law, you think it, you feel it, you become it, it comes.
I love that one. Thanks for adding all of that. Thank you for having this conversation with me.
Thank you. This was
fun. I really enjoyed it.
Talk so much.
Yeah, no, I love it. I know exactly why I was so excited in the beginning because of this. I really like it.
I'm here to serve, and if I can offer any wisdom, it's just joy for me. So I'm just glad to connect, and I appreciate you taking the time to have me on.
Yeah. Where can people find you? Where can people get into contact with you?
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn or just under my name, Rebecca Schocker, or you can find me on Instagram, which is super easy at Real with Rebecca, or you can go to my website, which is realwithrebecca.com, and then book a call. We can have a conversation, have a chat.
Love it. Perfect. Cool. I'll add all of that in the description of the video. Thanks. You, Rebecca. I really enjoyed it. And thank you, everyone, for listening, and I'll see you next week.